All right, so I'm Kevin Lyons. I'm co-founder and CEO of FlashVote, and here's what we do. Anyone got challenges out there in their community, their job? Any of these look familiar? Homelessness, policing, housing, blah, 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 right? Elected officials, maybe, for the cities and counties? Okay, so we've seen these solved, all these problems with data, with good data, not the data you're getting now. And in a nutshell, imagine there was a button you could push, and you could know truly what your whole community thinks, what your whole state, what your whole set of customers, what your potential employees, what they actually think, want, prefer. The scientific survey, that's what we do. Okay, so let's talk about the problem that you have, that we all have. I've been a volunteer PIO for a year now where I live. And picture yourself working on a project and you get told, hey, let's find out what the community thinks about a community center. This is a case study we were hired to work with Harvard, and we had a bunch of grad students that went to meetings, studied online surveys, and did all kinds of work, bless their hearts, writing down everything that everyone said, all their demographics. So they had a meeting, they had a bunch of meetings, and they said, hey, we got 5 things we might want to put in a new community center. So health and social services, exercise, adult daycare, sports, or study meeting and event space. And this is what the data from the meeting showed. So health and social services, study meeting, and event space were the top 2. Clearly above the 50% line, right? Good data, information, sounds interesting. Okay. What do you think the meeting attendees look like compared to the rest of the community? A lot of laughing? Okay, were they older or younger crowd? Older, okay. And in fact, 81% of them were over 60, which is not the demographics of your community, no matter where you live, unless you're in a nursing home. Okay. They did a survey because they knew that, right? Everyone does that. You're not just going to go with a meeting, I hope. So they did an online survey, pushed it out with social media, and lo and behold, what do you see? Same results, right? Now seriously, you got to be thinking full speed ahead. We know what to do in the community center, don't we? Okay. And look, we got the younger crowd. Only 31% of people are over 60. Now we're starting to look like our community actually looks. Demographics look good. We got data. Full speed ahead, right? Maybe not? Okay. So we did the scientific survey. And 3 out of the 5 categories were flipped, reversed, backwards, wrong. And you're probably thinking, now you got the demographics right, maybe, right? Because we did a better sample, more statistically representative. Demographics were the same. So that wasn't it. What's going on in this case? Well, it turns out there's an invisible factor in all of the input we get, whether it's meetings, online surveys, social media, next door, God forbid. All of these input channels, there's self-selection. The people interested in the topic will find out about it, follow it, participate at much higher rates, and tell their friends. And that's what was happening here, and that's what happens all the time. So the conclusion is traditional methods of community input are biased. Or my favorite way of saying about it, if you're ever looking for good social media law training, Mark Weaver's fantastic. If you think social media is a good representation of the public, you are too drunk to drive. So remember either one of those, whichever one sticks. Okay, so the broader problem, that's one example, but let's take a guess. How often do you think the public input sentiment that you get through all these channels matches the whole community sentiment? We got some, never, we got a never. Anyone taking over never, at least? Let me throw out a number, another number? 25%? Okay. 25. Who's taking over 25%? Any hands? Ooh, who's taking under 25%? Okay, a lot of hands. All right, so never's looking pretty good right now. So we actually compared our first 300 and then 400 surveys, scientific surveys, to this data. 5% of the time it was a match. Kind of like a broken clock. So never is actually statistically indistinguishable, right? You had the answer. 25% of the time you have a really small group that feels really loud, but not to be a full majority of the sentiment, okay? 70% of the time, what you hear is the opposite of what your community wants. So your instincts were spot on, and we have the data to prove it, and that's a challenge. Why is that a challenge? Well, how often do you think electeds think public input sentiment is a good representation of your community? Yeah. Higher than 25%? Higher than never? Yes, it turns out they start at about 50% and go up. So they think it's better than nothing. It's actually a good guide. They think it's a good guide. You know it's a bad guide. That's where we come in. This is a problem. Here's what's going on. Okay. Keanu could not be here today. His plane was stuck in Dallas. So here's your community. Who are you going to hear from in your community? The happy middle or the haters? The haters, yep. The edges, and particularly the haters, unfortunately. And sometimes it looks like this guy, or maybe not as well dressed. Kind of our unofficial mascot you'll see in the book. Problem is, it feels like it's the tip of the iceberg when you get this, right? I've been an official for 8 or 9 years. I get yelled at, I get influenced. I'm manipulable, and I'm a data guy. Right, I didn't work for NASA, but I'm still a data guy. Yeah, I'm not. Here's the problem. It could just be this, right? You could have heard from all the outliers in your community. And either way, it feels like this. It feels terrible. It feels like you're feeling the pressure. So without the representative reality, which we can deliver with a scientific survey, you're in trouble. And ultimately, as was pointed out with the haters, complaints are what's amplified, unfortunately. So here's an example, a real survey. City in Southern California got nothing but complaints. They thought everyone hates our parks now. Morale was crushed in the department when they had to cut back from budgets. Turns out they were hearing from 0.3% of their community. And people love their parks. They got a 4.0 out of 5, which is a tremendously good score. That's the game-changing value of the data. That's how you can solve these problems. And so that's what we do for you. Ultimately, you got this pain, we're your painkiller. Short automated scientific surveys. So 90% faster, 90% easier. I'm sorry, 100% easier, 90% cheaper. So super affordable. Less than the cost of a traditional survey. We'll give you a whole year of surveys. You're our people. We'll give you better data, actually, than you get. We actually have done all kinds of work all across the country on any topic you can think of. And it only takes 48 hours to have that data. So all through the year, you got an issue, it comes up, draft the survey, finalize it, launch it, you got your answers. Then you can make great decisions informed with defensible data. And you join leading cities around the country. Did a great mosquito project with Fargo, Plymouth, Minnesota. I thought I'd throw that up there. 6 years in a row, we've done snow plowing every May for them. Every year they've gotten better. People like snow removal here, kind of important. Same where I live, where we got 70 feet this year. So anyway, ultimately you overcome this guy and his friends. Yeah, big X on him. You avoid mistakes. We've helped avoid hundreds of millions of dollars of mistakes where people were headed the wrong way based on bad data. And ultimately you transform and you're a bigger hero, recognized for what you should be. As Molly said, I have no idea how people make decisions without flash vote. This is after her first survey. So thank you very much. I'll be around. I'll be wearing my logo today and tomorrow. And appreciate your interest. We'd love to talk with you.